Hey everybody, and welcome to my second review of the 2017 Best Picture nominees. Today's review is on the film Manchester by the Sea. So Manchester by the Sea is an independent film directed by Kenneth Lonergan that follows an uncle who is obliged to return home after the death of his brother to take care of his nephew, unknowing that he could possibly be up for the guardianship of his nephew. And at the same time, he's struggling with the decision. Throughout the film, he recounts past memories that caused him to leave Manchester and distance himself from his past. Casey Affleck in this film plays Lee Chandler, the uncle. He's a janitor slash handyman who works in an apartment complex in Boston. In this film, he gave a career best performance. He was absolutely fantastic in this film. And for the first part of the film, you kind of have to wonder why you should even care about him, because he's emotionally distant, and he's basically a dick to everybody. But without spoiling anything, as the film progresses, you begin to see why he is the way he is. And honestly, if I were in his shoes, I'd probably act the exact same way. Affleck uses a technique in this film known as subdued acting. It's a method where the actor or actress doesn't tell you how you should feel, or they don't tell you how they feel. You just have to read between the lines and analyze things like the silence and their subtle movements. Doing that actually makes Affleck's performances explode in a sense. And he won an Oscar for his portrayal in this role, and he definitely deserved it. Michelle Williams in this film plays Randy, Lee's ex-wife. Even though Williams's performance was superb in almost every way, I had a lot of problems with the character herself and how she was written. I'm not holding it against Williams. I honestly think she was just working with what she had. Lucas Hedges plays Patrick, Lee's nephew. He gave an outstanding performance in this film, and his character is very realistic for his age. I do have a similar complaint with Patrick as I did with Randy. He's written a bit strangely, but instead of the character being poorly written, it's mainly a problem with his dialogue, but I'll get more into that later. As for the film, it's a very hard one to actually get through because it is extremely sad at certain points, but there's enough comedic moments and dialogue to balance it out, I feel. But I still suggest having a box of tissues ready and available while watching. As I commented earlier, so for the first maybe 30 minutes, you don't really know why you should care about most of the main characters, and it may make the film hard to view as well. But as the film progresses, you begin to understand character motivations, and it actually really helps any viewings after the first. It actually helps the rewatch value. And, excuse me, as this is a character-driven story, this is great for a character study. I know, my girlfriend Mallory, she's a big fan of psychology, so she personally loved analyzing each individual character. This film, in order to tell its narrative, relied on the use of flashbacks, and the film doesn't talk down to the audience about it. The filmmakers trusted that we, as an audience, were smart enough to realize, whether it was on the first flashback or a bit later, that certain scenes were flashbacks, because it doesn't do like most films do, where it's, it'll go into the scene, and it'll say, like, the date and the year, just to say, hey, this isn't in present time. No, it just cut to the scene, and you had to figure it out yourself, and I actually personally love that about it. The one thing that I found absolutely fantastic about this film was the cinematography, and for those of you who don't know what cinematography means, it's just the way that the camera shoots the scenes, how it moves, that sort of stuff. It was just realistic and simple. There are a few scenes and shots that I absolutely love. I'll give you a couple examples. So there's one shot where the camera is still, and it's focused on a sidewalk that leads to the back door of the building where Lee works, and it's snowing. There's nothing going on in the entire shot. It's just pouring down snow. It looks utterly beautiful. It just pops out at you, and you don't know why. you just recognize that it's gorgeous to look at. And there was one other scene, it happens a little early in the film. It's where Lee is driving, and he's on the phone trying to get from Boston to Manchester. And the way that it's set up, the camera was in the back of the car, like, in the back seat. And the way that it was showing, you could see everything that was going on in front of the car, and you could see Lee's face in the rear view mirror. I actually felt like I was in the film with him, like I was sitting in the back seat. The dialogue for this film is well written all around and extremely authentic. Of course, there are exceptions to this. So while Patrick's character was well written all around, his dialogue was very hit and miss for me, saying things that I felt didn't necessarily fit the situation or the scene that they took place in. And just as a small nitpick, I did have a problem with the certain ancillary characters, ancillary being pretty much everybody else other than the main characters. Some of their performances actually took me out of the film because they weren't fully realized. There was, sure there couldn't be as much character development, but it was, their performances were the least realistic to me. And as a last nitpick, this one isn't one for me, but I'm sure that a few people would actually share it. While the film is great and well made in pretty much every aspect, it is a very depressing film and could actually make rewatching hard for certain people. So to recap, Manchester by the Sea is a near-perfect film that's balanced with humor and sadness, with outstanding performances out of the main characters, great cinematography, and tangible realism. If you're into character-driven narratives, this is a film for you. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for today. If you'd like to see more movie reviews, then please click the subscribe button down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.